Hello and welcome to the Dadless Soul sessions for the 5th of December 2024. My name is Jim Colson, Jim La Soul, as it says down there on the little bit down there. Hope you're doing all right. Hope everything's going well with you. I've got a packed show for you, as always. We do this on the first Thursday of every month, except November's, which was actually the last Thursday of October. But let's not get into too many details about that. That was an American election special. It had to be at that point for a very special reason. So coming up on the show, I mean, this is where I get to do me this morning kind of menu bit of the show. So here we go. We'll get that on and play the music. I've been doing this months and it still brings me immense joy. Coming up at 8:30, just after 8:30, Dan Lasol, Dan Flanagan with an update on the latest DLS developments. More on that in a second. It's not quite the same as it normally is. 8:45, Alex is here with his conflict management clinic. You've been sending in your questions about conflict management situations that you find yourselves within and that you need help with. And Alex is the absolute expert on those, so you can hear from him in a little bit. And then at 9 o'clock, we have Nicci Parish, who's coming here. Nicci is the founder of Billy and Beyond. And she's dedicated herself to give parents the tools to start honest and open conversations with young people about drugs and their dangers. And that's based on a tragedy of her own. Her son passed away after taking MDMA. And out of that tragedy has come something that she's hoping is going to change the lives of people and is, you know, providing really good, solid, brilliant, effective and realistic advice for parents as well. So if you're looking for advice on talking to kids about drugs in a non-patronizing, non-confrontational way, then Nicci will have some top tips for you. She's on the way at 9 o'clock. First of all, though, now, what we'd normally have is Dan here, and what we'd do is we'd say we were doing some Dadless Soul updates, but we'd talk for about 5 minutes about Rising Damp or some old sitcom or something like that, and then eventually we'd get around to what Dadless Soul is up to. But at the moment, we have just launched a big new crowdfunder campaign, and it's really important to us because we need to keep the lights on here at Dadless Soul. Funding is an absolute nightmare at the moment. And Dan explains that in a video that we've made about it. So what I want you to do is have a watch of this video. If you can donate anything, in the corner of the screen, there's the crowdfunder QR code. All right. I'll put that into the comments as well, the link to the crowdfunder, so that you can go and donate. And it would really help. Anything you can do will help us support dads to come to play dates and be with their families if they can't afford it. It'll help us keep our play dates going, which are a vital resource for dads who need that sense of community and want that place to go with their kids where they can have some fun, relax and chat with other dads. If you can afford anything, that's amazing, really good. Completely understand the way the economy is, the fact that it's Christmas in a couple of weeks' time. If you can't afford it, do not worry. Don't worry at all, right? We're not going to guilt trip you or anything. What we would ask, though, is you just tell people about Dadless Soul and you share our video. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Just type Dadless Soul into YouTube and share the video, or you can do it on any of the social media, on our Instagram or our Facebook. You just share that video with 5 dads. Give me 5 dad is the campaign. And this is why it's so important. Please just take a few minutes to watch this.
Every week, 84 men take their own lives. That's a horrifying statistic, but it's not a statistic really, is it? It's somebody's dad, somebody's mate, somebody's brother, somebody's community member. Now picture this, it's 4 AM, a dad stood in the kitchen. The fridge behind him, it's got some lovely colourful photographs of happy times and pictures that his kids are drawn, but he can't see them because the tears are streaming down his face, and he's thinking, I don't know how much more I can take of this. I know that feeling. And more importantly, far too many people I know also know that feeling. So this is one of the reasons that I started Dadless Soul in the first place. Over the last 7 years, we've created 450 events. We've helped 12,000 people. We've done everything from bringing dads back from the brink of despair to having a 97-year-old lady make friends with toddlers and adults with learning difficulties. We've created huge magical adventures in tech hubs, in galleries, in museums, and brought families out to have a really good time. But most importantly, what we do is get dads talking. Now, strangely, that might seem like a really normal thing, but in clinical settings, men don't tend to actually open up. So what we've done is, we almost call it a Trojan horse. A dad will come along for a bushcraft workshop, a DJ workshop, a bit of stand-up comedy, but actually what he'll leave with is a community and a space where he knows he's supported. Take a look at this photograph. Spend a moment. Tell me what you see. Now, first of all, you'll probably say, wow, that looks like a lot of happy dads and kids. You know, if you know about our work at Dadless, you go, oh, well, that's the UK's largest ever play date. And you'd be right. But let me tell you what I see when I look at that photograph. I see the dad that feels really, really guilty because he's having to work weekends and evenings just to pay the bills. I see the dad that's homeless in temporary accommodation, that if Dadless Soul doesn't exist, he's got nowhere to take his kids. I see the gay dad who's constantly batting off snide comments that his children will suffer because they don't have a mum. I'll see the stepdads, the co-parents, the guys that have struggled with IVF and miscarriage, but nobody ever asks them actually how they're doing. I also see a lot of the dads that you would think they're doing all right, but actually when you ask them, they're not. This is why Dadless Soul matters. Now let me tell you about a couple of mates of mine. First, there's Tom. He came along to one of our meetups, shaking, really socially anxious, thinking that he's going to be a bit of a Billy No Mates and nobody's going to talk to him. And we did talk. I'd found out that he'd lost his job, he'd lost his marriage, he'd lost access to his kids, and it had completely obliterated his confidence. But through Dadless Soul, we helped him sort of build that back up. Now, he's got his confidence back up, he's got access to his kids, and they really enjoy their Saturday daddy play dates. And then there's Mike, another mate of mine. Mike's been struggling for God knows how long with postnatal depression, completely undiagnosed because obviously men don't struggle like that. But there was a moment, he was sat on the floor at one of our play dates building a castle with his little daughter, and he started to smile. These are just a couple of the moments that I see and we see as Dadless Soul, week in, week out. This is why we need to be there. So let me tell you what happens if we fail. Your brother, your dad, your uncle, your mate reaches out for support. He plucks up the courage to actually come through the door and ask for help, only to find that door's closed. We know how that story ends. This is why we need your help to do something about it. So I've just told you what happens if we lose. But let me tell you what happens when we win. Thousands of dads and families get the chance to go to tech innovation hubs, art galleries, museums, have incredible adventures on a Saturday with people they wouldn't normally meet. Our events in the evening, our dads' workshops and youth clubs become a thriving hub for people from the age of 16 up to 75. And that sounds crazy, but that's exactly the types of people that we get through the door. We need your help to help all of those people. And I'm a realist, you know, unless you've been walking around for the last couple of years, you know the world is in a dire state. Right? I know times are hard, but it's almost at these times, at these dark times, this is where we as a community need to shine brightest. And this is what I need and we need your help. So the question, how can you actually help? And you can. £10, £50. You think, oh, it won't make a difference, but it will. £10 goes to fund a play date for a family on low incomes that maybe couldn't afford to have these sort of adventures. £50 goes to fund a play date, a dad's only meet up where these guys can get their support, the kids can have the adventure, and maybe they can leave with a swanky sweatshirt like this, so they can leave knowing that they're part of something. £100, £250, these sort of money goes to help fund our volunteers with mental health and suicide prevention training. So the next time they ask somebody, how you doing, mate? And that person says, well, actually not too well. They've got the skills to be able to make sure the story doesn't end badly. £500, £1,000, two and a half grand. If you've got it, give it to us. We see a world where there should be Dadless Soul chapters in towns and cities across the UK, right? If there is a man down, he should be able to come and get the support that he needs. But I realise that's a big ask. But if you can help, please do so, because at the moment this is not just about putting Dadless Soul chapters across the UK, across the world, because there is a call for that. But at the moment we need to make sure that the projects we've got running survive. It's that critical. And in the last 7 years, I think, of running all of these events and doing all this great stuff, I've never once asked for help, and I really need to change that. So you can make a difference. You genuinely can make a difference. If you could donate, amazing. If you could share this story on social media, amazing. Just take 5 minutes, watch this film, tag 5 friends, right? Tell them that they need to see this. If you are a larger organisation or a brand that wants to get involved, give us your support. We can create magic together. But the bottom line is, we need to keep the lights on. This needs to happen, and I can't do this alone. So I'm asking you, my brothers and sisters out there, to join my revolution. You don't have to be a dad, you just need to give a shit. Thank you.
Thank you to York Road Studios and Found Light for their help in making that film. Really powerful stuff. I think you'll agree. And if you can share that video, it's on all of our socials. So facebook.com/dadlesssoul, at Dadless Soul on Instagram, searches on LinkedIn as well, and anywhere else you go, X, Twitter, whatever it's called nowadays. If you can get onto those, it's pinned to the profiles of each of them, then just please share it and let 5 other dads know about it. And, maybe one of those dads will be able to donate, but we need the money, full Bob Geldof style. Give us your money. That's what we're asking for, just because we need to keep going. And the things that we do save lives. It's not even just a thing we say. It's proven, people come and they're in a bad way because they don't have that support system. And Dadless Soul is their community and their support system. And there are many dads out there who can't afford to come to Dadless Soul events or to any events. So we don't want that to be a barrier, because we want everyone to have access. So what we can do is we can fund those events, but we do need that funding coming from somewhere. And, getting funding from the usual routes is now very, very difficult. So a crowdfunder is the way forward. And if you're on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, right now in the comments, there's the link to the crowdfunder. If not, just search Dadless Soul on crowdfunder, or go to any of our social media and you'll find the link there. And please, if you can donate, that would be amazing. If you can't, do not feel bad at all. No pressure, no guilt here. but do tell people about what we're doing and do try and share that video if you can, because that is something you can do for free that would really, really help us out. Now, Nicci on the way at 9 o'clock this evening. She's going to be talking about Billy and Beyond, which is her charitable organization set up in memory of her son and doing great work educating parents on how to talk to their kids about drugs. And if you're looking for help with that, it's going to be really, really worth sticking around for 9 o'clock. First of all, Alex, our conflict management expert, he answered some of your questions. I had to record this yesterday because he had to be doing something this evening. For some reason, I'm not visible for the first 3 minutes. Now, you may say that is respite. Thank you very much for that. Phew. That is much better than seeing your stupid face for 3.5 minutes. And if you would say that, keep it to yourselves. But your luck's in. So this is what happened when I chatted to Alex about your questions. It is time to get our conflict management clinic open, and it is the very festive Alex with us today. Alex, oh my goodness, you are like the front of a Christmas card.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm not sure I feel like the front of a Christmas card, other than possibly a bit cardboard and flat. But otherwise, no, I'm doing my best. And as you can see, we are well into the festive spirit here in Worthing.
Yeah, we've not even got a tree up yet. We were just really busy last weekend and everyone else was doing it. And now we feel like we're left behind, I think.
Yes, well, you know, we were exceptionally organised this year. I use the term "we" loosely. My wife was incredibly organised this year. So we've got the Christmas tree up, and I was meant to do the outside lights. Only Storm, what was it, Bert?
Oh, yeah.
Played to me going up a ladder, at least in safety. So I'm doing it probably this weekend for the outside lights.
Okay, so in stages, like it. I just got the image of Clark Griswold in Christmas, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, all covered in lights and stuff. It's hope it goes better than that. Anyway.
Yes.
Right, so we've got some people ask some questions of you. They've got conflict management issues and they would like some coping mechanisms, I guess is one of the things we do. This one says, my boss's criticism is endless and it seems really personal too. Now, I get that he wants to push me to be better, but now I feel like I can't do anything right. How do I get him to think about how he talks to me?
Okay, so any workplace thing or workplace potential conflict is always traumatic for one very simple reason. Get it wrong and you no longer have a salary check at the end of the month. And that's what scares people. And that's what makes conflict in the office always quite frightening for people, because there is a massive repercussion if something goes wrong. One of our later questions refers to volunteers, and that in itself poses a different question and a different set of challenges. But with your actual paid employment, when your boss is being like that, first of all, look back at yourself. Make sure actually you're not doing something that is really annoying, irritating, that you're not achieving what you should. Are you meeting the goals, the targets at your last appraisal when they were set, etc., etc.? Keep a very close document of what you're doing. Document your work. Yeah, even if that's to the point of sending yourself an email. And if I know that sounds bizarre, but you send yourself an email, it time and date stamps. Use the work email through their servers. So it's proof of what you did at that time. Get feedback from your boss. Get feedback from other people as well. That's really, really important so that you understand. They may well be able to chat to you and say, look, you know that you get wound up by your boss. Well, do you know that your boss is wound up by the fact that he hates you when you wear that red tie? Something random, yeah. Obviously, it's fairly pathetic and pointless, but you see what I mean. That's the concept. Just see if there's something that you do that inadvertently is a red rag to a bull, basically. Yeah. Always communicate. I've got the C word in there straight away. Always communicate openly. Yeah. Are you, share how that constant criticism that your boss is giving you affects your motivation. Don't do it in an accusatory way, but something like, I don't know, I feel discouraged when I don't receive recognition for my work, as opposed to you discourage me because you don't praise my good work. That's accusational. There's a different way of saying it, but you're saying the same thing. Yeah. Always try and set boundaries. Allow your boss to go so far, but no further. Yeah. But you yourself set boundaries for yourself. Focus on a solution. Say, to your boss, I'm really sorry that, that wasn't great. What could I do to make that better? And actually sometimes twist it back and say, well, what do you think you can do to try and help me achieve that? Put back some on your boss. Yeah. Obviously, if it's all going completely wrong, then you'll have to explore other opportunities within the company, outside the company. Depending on the size of the company, HR is always an option, although that's a bit of a threat, because the one thing that I teach all my young students is that big companies, HR departments exist for one reason only: to make sure the employees don't sue the company. That's their goal. And it's a bit cynical, I know, but that is their goal. But HR is always there. Yeah. And finally, always be professional. Yeah. The moment you step outside of that professionalism, your case and your cause is lost. So sorry, there's a lot in there.
There is a lot in there. It's fascinating. And I really like that about going and talking on that sort of open level, not going in accusing, because there is the temptation to do that when you get into an argument like that. The temptation to go in is go, you're treating me badly. But actually, it's let's be more positive about our language, I suppose.
You want to get away from the you did, I did.
That's
always going to create that immediate barrier, and that's what you want to avoid.
Another one here says, I'm the leader at a community group. It's meant to be a collaborative and cooperative operation, but the volunteers have started arguing every time we put on an event over how to set up and carry out our work. It seems like everyone's on a different page. What can I do? And I just must say, reading this out, I need to say, this isn't Dad Lassalle, right?
I'm pleased to hear that.
It was only as I was reading it, I was like, oh my goodness, he seems like a really a passive aggressive way of talking about it. It's not. We're a harmonious and lovely organisation.
We are indeed, absolutely. And I did read the first one and I was wondering whether it was, is this written by Jim about Dan? And I thought, no, probably not. Probably not. Anyway, volunteers, as I said in the previous question, when your work involves your paycheck, it's one way of thinking about it. But when your work doesn't involve your paycheck, because it's a voluntary thing, people tend to be slightly more open. And that openness can manifest in two ways. I want to be in charge because I can be in charge, because nobody can fire me. I'm a volunteer, which is the negative way. Or it can be, this is great. I don't have to worry too much. I can just enjoy myself and have fun. And everybody's there to, do something beneficial for the community. Yeah. So obviously, I don't know what this organization does, how it's structured, how it works, but I hope that they have some form of structure, written down values that are important to them, that they make all their volunteers sign up to. Make sure that they've got a good management, leadership, organizing committee, whatever it might be, that sets the boundaries and almost the rules, for want of a better word. And then when you're organizing an event, it sounds very bureaucratic, but actually have a small subcommittee. And this is, right, this person is in overall charge. And that's the person who's got to be very, very good at delegating, because they don't want to actually do anything on the detail. That's to the people. So, I'm just going to take a random thing here. You're organizing a bring and buy sale in a church hall. Just as a random event. So you've got somebody who's going to book the church hall, make sure that you've got the tables, the chairs, access to the kitchen, the urn, whatever it is. Somebody else is going to be in charge of the food. Somebody else is going to be in charge of organizing the tables, getting the different people in that are having stalls and so on. Somebody else is going to be organizing the tombola that you're running. Somebody else is going to be on the front door, making sure that everybody pays their entrance fee, etc., etc. So really try to delegate down and give specific job roles to everybody, and so they know what they're doing. I know it sounds very regimented, and you don't want it to be regimented, because this is volunteering. This is meant to be enjoyable. If it's not enjoyable, people won't volunteer. It's as simple as that. And make sure that everybody regularly checks in, knowing what they're doing, and also that they have an understanding of what other people are doing, because that's really important. If they know what everybody else is doing, not in detail, but in overview, that's important. And that's where the person who's overall in charge comes in. They make sure everybody knows what they're meant to be doing. So, yeah, it is challenging working with volunteers. I've worked with volunteers for many, many years, and it's a totally different management style to the staff that I work with in paid employment.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating, isn't it? There's a change of attitude, but you get similar problems, but slightly different.
It's exactly this. It's very similar problems, but the slant and the take on it is different. Because you have to remember that the people's motivation for being there is different. Right. And that's what it's about. What motivates people to be there?
Speaking of motivated to be there, I'm dreading Christmas with my in-laws. They're so strict about the schedule for the day. I hate it and our kids hate it, but my wife just thinks of it as normal because that's how she grew up. We just want to relax, but we can't because they have to do all these certain traditions at certain times. I'm sad for the kids who won't get to play with their toys because they have to be up and out and about.
I still make my kids now watch The King at 3:00. Because my father made me watch the Queen at 3:00 every single Christmas day without fail. Now I'm slightly more flexible about it because we've got on-demand TV, so we can tune in at 10 past and still watch the King at 3:00, so to speak. Yeah, because we've got that ability. So yeah, this is very, very similar to a question we had a few months ago about the in-laws telling you how to do something in your family, and your other half just goes along with it because it's what they accept, because it's what they've only known. And this is a classic example of what happens to you in childhood, you accept as normal. And until you step outside of that and experience something else, that is normal. Yeah. So, on a personal note, I always thought everybody's dad used to have a sleep in the afternoon. Mine had a sleep in the afternoon because he had a really bad heart and had to rest every afternoon. But until I was about 7 or 8 years old, it didn't occur to me that other people's dads didn't do that. So it's what we're used to. How do you manage this situation? Well, this Christmas, too late, we're in December, you're going to have to go with it. Yeah. There's not a lot you can do about it. But do your in-laws have to come every single Christmas? Or can you start saying, right, we're going to do alternating Christmases? I don't know if there's another set of in-laws, as in whoever wrote this, their parents are involved or not. I don't know. But say next year, we're going to have our Christmas with us. We love having Christmas with you, but this year the kids are going to actually take over, and put it around the idea that the kids are going to plan the menu with some support, hopefully.
Pizza for Christmas dinner, yum.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just going to be solid pigs in blankets. That's all the kids will ever usually eat, quite happily, without questioning.
Just the kids, though, not me. You didn't say me. No one accused me. But
not me, no. I make a wicked pigs in blanket, but that's another story. They and say the kids are going to be in charge. They're going to run the event. They're going to run the day. They're going to choose what they're going to do. They're going to have present opening time. They're going to have present playing time. Yeah. So it's literally, don't try and fight against having your in-laws there and what they want to do, because you're just going to create tension. Actually make a break. Say, we're going to have Christmas with us only. Yeah. Next Christmas, 2026, you'll be back. I think what year we were in. 2026, you'll be back. But 2025, we're going to have Christmas on our own. Yes, 24, it's now, we're going to do it with you. Yeah. If you want tips for this Christmas, then it's meet them halfway and say, yep, we'll do this and this, but the kids really want to do this, and so do we. And when they're confronted with that, they may back down a little bit, but try to get in what you want before they have a chance to say what they'd like to do, because then it just looks like you're fighting against them. Whereas if you say this is what we're doing, then they may go more along with it.
Right.
Yeah. But you've got to get your other half on board. Yeah. And whether or not they are going to be willing to stand up to their parents, that's the challenge.
Oh, it's that time of year, isn't it?
Yep.
Happy families all around.
Oh, yeah.
Stuck in a hot room for a few hours, and there's no shops to go to get
Yeah.
away.
Indeed.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for doing this, and yeah, you've helped 3 more people. There you go, and probably loads more in similar situations.
I hope so. And I wish everybody a very, very happy Christmas and hope it is conflict free.
Same to you, Alex. As well. There you go. That was Alex recorded yesterday. He's off out on his kind of NHS do out, which has got to be the most sensible Christmas do ever, right? They're going to be out there drinking in moderation, as they tell us to do as well, I'm sure. And yeah, and not eating too many fatty foods as well. Just like just have that, just a little bit of side salad as well. The rock and roll Christmas do. We'll find out in January, first week of January, first Thursday of January, how Alex got on with his Christmas do. Right, very soon, about a minute and a bit, we'll be talking to Nicci Parish from Billy and Beyond. First of all, let me flog you some t-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff. So I mentioned the crowdfunder earlier on. You can donate money to us. That would be amazing. The more you raise, the more dads we can support. And that would be brilliant. If you want to spend some money, but you want something in return, then the profits from our merch, our t-shirts and our sweatshirts, that goes to fund play dates for dads who can't afford it as well. So if you want something for your cash, then get to shop.dadlersoul.com. Shop.dadlersoul.com. And you can be wearing a swanky Dadler Soul t-shirt or sweatshirt, but you need to get in before the 13th of December if you want Christmas delivery. They are a great Christmas present. That is not even just a thing that I've said. I actually mean it. They're a great Christmas present. And you do get compliments. My postman complimented me yesterday. I was wearing mine yesterday. And I know I should be wearing it today for the live stream, but I spilt some stuff down it. Yeah, okay, fine, whatever. No judgment, right? I went to open the door. He had a parcel. He went, "There you go, mate. Love your t-shirt, by the way." I said, "Oh, thank you very much. That's very nice." And it opened up a little conversation, you see. That's how it does it. That's how we do it. We don't even just have to have the events to open up communication. We can do it with our merchandise as well. Shop.dadlersoul.com. Go and get yours. Now then, let me introduce to the stream, to the Dadler Soul sessions, Nicci Parish. Hello, Nicci. How are you doing?
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Not too bad. Feel like a bit of a market trader, to be perfectly honest, getting people to part with their money today on this live stream. But now we can relax and talk about kind of things that matter. Well, I mean, you know, funding Dadler Soul matters, but the real reason that we're gathered here today around our internet-enabled devices. Nicci, tell us about Billy and Beyond.
Yeah, so Billy and Beyond was set up in 2021, and it was set up after I lost my eldest son, Billy, after he took a recreational drug called MDMA. I think for me, the reason it was set up was because I didn't have enough knowledge about recreational drugs. I didn't even know what MDMA was. When Billy was in hospital, I had to Google what is MDMA. So I kind of realized very quickly that I needed or wanted to do something to help young people and parents just learn a little bit more about recreational drugs.
See, this is the thing that really spoke to me when I was reading some of the things that you'd written, some stuff on your website, and that was you saying that it was just something that happened to other people. Yeah, that doesn't happen to people like us. And then it did, and it can, and it does to people. And that's why we all need to be prepared, right? We all need to know our stuff.
100%. I mean, I had a really before before Billy passed away, my view was that a drug death was somebody that was addicted to drugs, or had real issues with drugs, or came from a really bad family. And then obviously Billy was rushed to hospital. He was 24, so it was his 24th birthday. He had a good job. He was a carer for adults with learning disabilities. So he was quite sorted, and it was just a real bolt out of the blue. And then I suddenly realised that actually it could be anybody's child. What Billy took was too pure, but he had no way of knowing that. His girlfriend that took the same stuff was okay. But it's just literally the bit he had was, too pure. So that's kind of why we do what we do now.
So it could have been to anyone that day, that obviously had been to the same place, got it from the same person. It's petrifying, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah, I've done a couple of things on. I did an interview with Meridian News about sort of social media and drugs and stuff, and I just couldn't get over how easy it was to buy recreational drugs, because obviously in my youth, I mean, I'm from the Grange Hill days, just say no, and I actually said that to Billy. He first experimented with recreational drugs when he was about 15, 16. And I actually used that line on him, just say no, just, go and have a beer. Don't be ridiculous. And I think for me, I didn't know enough about drugs. So the easiest thing to do was to ignore it. So just go, don't be stupid. I never spoke to him about it. I never spoke, about the dangers of recreational drugs or anything else, because I didn't have enough knowledge. And I think that's kind of now where I want to be to parents. You don't have to know everything, but just having that basic knowledge and the ability to start a difficult conversation with your young person. And, you're kind of halfway there then, because they're not, instead of just ignoring it or it being a real taboo subject, it can just be a normal conversation that you would have with a teenager. And that's kind of what we're trying to get every parent, certainly in sort of like Sussex, just to be having those conversations really easy.
I think it's one of those things where, as you say, it's just easier to bury your head in the sand and just ignore it and hope that it goes away and it just never becomes an issue. And I think that's the case with a lot of things in parenting as well, that are on the surface seem tough and difficult to deal with. But yeah, having a conversation with your kids is a lot less tough and traumatic than what you've had to go through as well. And I mean, it's amazing that you've channeled that into what you're doing now, because I think a lot of people would and absolutely be well within their rights to just shut themselves away and just, not want to be angry at the world, I guess, and be angry at everything else. And and that's, everyone has that right to do that. Everyone has the right to be angry. It's such a horrible, horrible thing to happen to someone. So where did you find the sort of strength to come back from that and then sort of focus on what you're doing now?
I guess for me, it was all about, I mean, as I say, the defining moment for me was in A&E when I was in that waiting room waiting to hear. Billy was obviously, it was during COVID as well. So it was really difficult times, and Googling what is MDMA, I actually felt almost a little bit ashamed of myself that, I was a parent of two boys, just didn't have any clue at all. And I think it just, the shock of what happened and what happened to Bill's body was just mind blowing. And I think I was just so, wow, this is just mad. I've 3 days ago, I was just a mum to 2 boys, muddling my way through life. And, I ran basketball teams and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden I was a bereaved parent. And I think it was quite good for my own mental well-being to then channel, you know, like you said, some of the anger and the grief, channel it into something that hopefully will help prevent other families going through what we've been through. Because it's, you know, it's me, it's my husband, it's my youngest son, you know, it's Billy's friends, you know, the rest of my family. It's just, it just has such a big ripple effect. And I'm really pleased because Billy and Beyond has really grown. And, you know, we're doing now on the, you know, I do lots of different talks and stuff. We've just our interactive workshops now just being finished, and you know, we've done a film about Billy's story. So yeah, we're really sort of growing momentum, and it's really good to see. And each talk that I do, I think helps me a little bit, which is great. And one of the other things that we do as well is we have a lot around mental well-being in like young people and children. And again, I think that's something that can be a really positive thing as a parent that's lost a child, is just giving back sometimes is good.
Of course, yeah. No, it must be. I've got the animated video here. Do you mind if we show it?
No, not at all. I'd love it.
Cardiac arrest. No shockable rhythm. Start CPR. More adrenaline. Get calcium gluconate. We've got to stop the bleeding. Time of death is 07:51. Cause of death, refractory hyperkalemia, disseminated intravascular hemolysis, and multi-organ failure, acute MDMA intoxication. Only just 24. Your son has deteriorated. We did everything we could to try and save him.
So, Billy made a bit of a mistake.
So, I mean, really, really powerful video, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what was the thinking behind making that? What did you want to do with that?
So I think Billy and Beyond was probably coming up for a year, and I'd already written like Billy's story, what had happened, but I wanted to put it in some sort of short film, because we know films are great, especially with social media. They can capture like more people. And I knew I didn't want anyone at that point to play Billy. So I was trying to think of ways that we could do it without it being Billy, someone acting as Billy.
Mm.
And I met this guy called Morgan from Morgan Films, who was absolutely fantastic, who, you know, I just said, this is the idea I've got. I was very clear that I wanted it to be hard hitting. I didn't want it to sort of pull any punches. I didn't want it to be flowery, and because what happened to Bill was hard hitting. And the bits that it shows in the film, like his girlfriend texting, is the same sort of timeline. So she took a video of Billy. She sent messages to his friends asking what to do, because Billy had had a seizure. So she was, you know, kind of asking for advice. And then it's one of the things when we talk to young people that we really, really impress, that actually the first thing you need to do is call 999. You know, you're not going to get into trouble. No one is interested. They just want to get to that young person or your friend, or, you know. And so, yeah, Morgan was absolutely fantastic. He really understood, you know, where I was coming from and what I wanted. And yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it.
I mean, I've watched it a few times now, and every time it's still,
Mm.
as a parent watching it, you just think, oh, you know, it takes your breath away. Um, and it is fantastic film. Um, so that's the advice you give for young people. So I mean, that it is interesting, isn't it? I mean, we never know how we're going to react in a panic, and
Mm.
and I guess if you've had this advice, if you've heard this talk, it always helps to be able to have that advice in your head, I guess. So that's what you say. First thing, call an ambulance, and then deal with the rest. Then,
100%. I mean, I actually met the paramedics that went to the 999 call to Billy, and they don't normally meet people like, you know, they didn't know that Bill had passed away. They don't get told, so it was quite a difficult kind of meet. But they've appeared on some new films that we've had done, kind of like information films for young people, and as I say, parents as well. Talking about recreational drugs and how they, you know, their experiences. So how often they deal with, you know, recreation drug calls and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that they impress, that just call an ambulance. They're not there to judge. They're not bothered. They just want to, you know, get that person to hospital as quick as possible.
of course, yeah. And so for parents, then, you know, my daughter's going to secondary school next year, and then that's, you know, the kind of lead up to those teenage years. So for me, this is something that's definitely circulating in my brain at the moment. How do we talk to our kids? Because one of the problems I imagine is when you talk to your kids about some things, they instantly like, my parents have said it, get away. And especially if you're trying to broach a subject like that, I mean, it's, with a lot of things, you know, with sex, with drugs, with whatever, there's a barrier to get through there. How do you approach it as a parent?
So I think one of the first things I would say is maybe start before you get to that age of, you know, I don't want to talk about, you know, just start introducing, you know, the same as you would alcohol, I guess, you know. Alcohol's not a taboo thing, you know, so just maybe when you start talking about alcohol and, you know, and things like that, you start introducing, you know, also the recreational drugs. You can use examples of medicinal drugs, so drugs that can be used like paracetamol and stuff like that.
Mm,
Um, and then I think just trying to be as open as possible, and not judging your young person. One of the things as well, which I think is really important, especially going into senior school, is one of the things we talk about in the workshops we do is having like a code, a text code. So if your daughter's in a situation where, you know, things are not really, she's not really liking it, or she feels uncomfortable, just giving them a way out without losing face. So for you to be talking to her, and it kind of brings up recreational drugs without it being a big scary, you know, dad doesn't know what he's talking about kind of thing. But just so it could be as simple as an emoji. So she could, a trusted adult, doesn't have to be you, could be an older sibling if they've got an older sibling, but just an emoji that they text. And when you get that emoji, say if your daughter sent you the emoji, you would then call her and go, I'm really sorry, you know, Nan's locked herself out and I need you to come home now. And then it just gives them a way of going, oh God, my dad's so annoying. I've got to go because my nan's locked herself out, and they get out of that situation without losing any face. And then when they come home, you don't push them to ask why they wanted to leave, because if they want to tell you, they will.
Right.
They won't do it again if you pester them.
That's it. Is that, you know, you do have to tread those lines carefully, don't you? Of being open and encouraging openness, but also understanding when they don't want to talk about it. That's what I find difficult even at the moment, is the, you know, when they don't want to talk, just going, fine, okay, I'm here if you need to, stepping back.
It's hard as a parent. It's really difficult because, you know, you've been their world for forever, and then all of a sudden you're not cool, and they don't kind of want to be seen hanging around with you anymore, and it's really different, and it's quite, you know, as a parent it could be quite hurtful. But it's just about keeping those communication lines open, you know, if and when they need it, and just, you know, because I mean, with recreational drugs now, we don't, I mean, Billy and Beyond is not just about saying no anymore, because we know it doesn't work. It's too, you know, it's everywhere. We know it's everywhere now. And so, you know, we also in our workshops discuss different ways of being safer if you are going to take recreational drugs. It's just being realistic, really, and, you know, making them have the tools to make a good choice.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because, yeah, we all know how teenagers work. So we've all been teenagers, and what kind of what kind of mechanisms can we help them put in place then to be a bit more sensible and make the right choices?
So it's really, so with any recreational drugs, the one thing, if they are going to take anything, is to there's a thing that says go slow, stay low. So they're taking small amounts and just seeing, you know, what the effects are before they take any more, because you know, it's these days we don't know what's in them. You know, the Loop is a great charity that does drug testing at festivals, and they've got a place in Bristol now where they will test drugs before you take them, and they will tell you what's in them, which I think is fantastic. But they did it, not the summer just gone, the one before, they did a whole testing thing at one of the festivals, and all the MDMA they tested.
Hello, hello, hello. Ooh, seem to have lost Nicci there, unless you can still hear me. I think we've had a technical issue, which is annoying. Yeah, it's possibly to do with the fact that the weather here in Yorkshire is absolutely terrible. Let me see if Nicci's there. No, she's still frozen there. Oh, no. This is really annoying. Fascinating stuff, though, from Nicci. Yeah, just really interesting things. If you have any questions or anything, then do let us know in the comments below. I think we might have her back now. Hello, Nicci.
Oh,
You there?
sorry, I don't know what happened there.
Um,
I think I just.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know whether it's here because there's like an absolute storm raging around me. Um, we've got like I'm in Yorkshire, and it's awful. I mean, even for Yorkshire, which is normally terrible, the weather that is, the county's great. Anyway, so the Loop, the MDMA at one festival, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the festivals that they tested the MDMA at, I think it was 97% of the MDMA didn't have any MDMA in it, which is just like literally mind blowing.
Wow.
And so that, I think nowadays that's the difference. I mean, you know, when I was younger, drugs was it was always considered quite seedy. You'd have to go in, you know, either I don't know, just a bad area or a pub in the darkest corner. And you know, nowadays you can buy them on social media. There's no face-to-face contact, which I think is terrifying. You know, it just comes to your door. You pay, you know, however they pay over the phone, or you know, and it's all done, and there's no contact. And that's what I find really scary these days, is that, you know, because I'd imagine, you know, especially when you look at some of these things like Snapchat and these Instagram and stuff like that, they're actually advertising it like they're sweets. And you know, they're made to look fun, and do you know what I mean? And so you imagine you've got two 13, 14-year-olds.
We've lost Nicci again, unfortunately. Yeah, sorry about that. Don't know what keeps happening. I am going to blame the weather here. Interestingly, though, I did not know that. I did not know that that is how these things happen. That they come through social media to the door. Nicci, yeah, sorry, I keep losing you. But yeah, I was just saying. I mean, I had no idea that happened. I thought it was still back rooms of pubs and the dodgy bloke at the party. So this is like something you can get a hold of, like mail order almost.
Yeah, I mean, there's not only is there social media, but there's the dark web, and there's all sorts of ways of now, you know, with, as I say, without that face-to-face contact. And that's, for me, what's terrifying, because you've got, you know, young teenagers in rooms, you know, with no parent knows what they're doing, or, you know, looking at these sites, and then, you know, sort of, the bit I did about social media, I actually tried on Instagram to see how easy it would be to find drugs, and it took me 10 minutes.
Oh wow.
And I'm not very good on Instagram. No, so I just think, yeah, and it's just about, as I say, arming these young people and parents with a bit of knowledge,
Mhm.
a bit of, you know, sort of a few safety bits, you know, a few bits that, you know, you can look at all these sites now. Like on our website, we've got what drugs look like, you know, what the side effects are, just knowing a little bit about what's out there.
So as a takeaway, really, for parents, just learning everything they can about the drugs and what they do and where people get them from, that's going to help, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got we're going to be doing workshops for parents, you know, from January onwards. So if, you know, any parents out there that are interested could come along to one of our workshops, and it just gives them, just gives again a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of, okay, this is, I can talk about this. And you know, the videos that we've got, not just Billy's story, but we've also got ones from, as I said, the paramedics and an ITU doctor talking about how, you know, they see young people, recreational drugs, you know, quite often involved in that. So, you know, lots of different bits and pieces for them to take away.
Well, if you let us have all the details of the workshops, and I will share them on Dad Lasol's socials, and we'll get them into our WhatsApp groups and stuff like that as well. Because I think it's certainly something that's going to be of interest and massively helpful to our audience as well. So it'd be great if you could. How do people find out about Billy and Beyond?
So our Facebook is probably our most active. So it is just Billy and Beyond on Facebook. Our website is billyandbeyond.org.uk. Also Instagram, we're on Instagram as well. Yeah, so yeah, as I say, our Facebook is probably Facebook and Instagram are the most sort of, we put everything on there. So
And how are you doing as a family? Are you all right?
yeah, I mean, we get by. We do lots of different bits to remember Bill. You know, it is such a difficult journey. There's no way for all of us. It's, you know, my youngest is now 20. He was 16 when Billy died. It's just, yeah, we get through. We're a strong little unit that all support each other, and I think that's an absolute godsend, to be honest.
Sure it is. Nicci, thank you so much and for what you do, because I think it's just invaluable. It really is. And yeah, it's amazing that you found this very, very positive output and outlet, I guess, in you know, in what is a tragic situation. So yeah, no, anything we can do to help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has. Love Dad Lasol. Massive fan.
Oh, good to know. Thank you very much. And right, here's I'm going to do. I'll leave you. I was going to get rid of you there so I could do my cheesy link afterwards. But and if you love Dad Lasol as well, there's a crowdfunder.
Brilliant.
It's yeah. There's the QR code. Anything that people can donate, just really appreciate it. It will help us keep putting on events in Brighton, in Worthing, and beyond as well, to just connect with more dads and keep the lights on for this organization. And if you can't do that, then get onto any of our social media and share the video. Thank you. And if the more people donate to the crowdfunder, the fewer terrible jokes I'd do on cheesy links. How's that? Nicci, thank you very much for coming on. We are back on the first Thursday of January, and I'm going to be talking to a sleep expert. So not only getting your kids to sleep, but also helping you sleep as well, which if that's one of your New Year's resolutions is to look after yourself a little bit better, then you need to be here. First Thursday of January, from 8:30 in the evening, and we'll have all the usual stuff as well. But yeah, crowdfunding